The year was 27-1. In the quiet, frozen mountains of Alaska, there stood an isolated building, the International Deep Space Listening Station, IDLS. Few people knew it even existed. Inside, dozens of scientists and engineers worked day and night, scanning the skies for any unusual signals from deep space. One of them was Dr. Samira Khan, a calm, brilliant scientist in her 30s. She had sharp eyes, always watching the monitors. Her job was simple: listen. On a cold January night, something strange happened. A signal appeared on the main screen, not just noise, not a satellite, not a star. It was structured. It had rhythm. It repeated itself every 42 seconds. Samira stared at it. "This isn't natural," she whispered. She called her team. They all gathered around the screen. The signal was faint, but it was real. It came from the Andromeda direction, far beyond anything reachable. They started decoding. At first, it looked like a mathematical sequence. Prime numbers, then binary code, then ... a pattern of tones. It wasn't human, but it wasn't random. Either. Within 2 hours, they managed to pull out the first readable line: "Do not trust the dark sky." A silence filled the room. "What does that mean?" someone asked. They continued decoding. Next line: "Ida watches you." People began to feel uneasy. The full message, after 6 hours of work, was: "Do not trust the dark sky. IT watches you. You are not safe. We tried to hide IT comes again. Time remaining, 92 days. The scientists looked at each other, unsure what to think. Samira's fingers trembled as she saved the signal log. "This is a warning." One of the younger engineers, Jay Patel, said, "Should we tell the government?" Samira nodded. "We have to." The cover-up. Be the next morning. Global Security Council agents arrived in helicopters. They took all the computers, hard drives, and even the backup paper logs. The scientists were told to sign non-disclosure agreements. No one could speak of it. The station was shut down. Samira was sent home. She didn't feel safe. Something in her gut told her this signal was real, not a prank, not an echo, not a trick. Arya Ian far away in New Delhi. A young AI data analyst named Arya Mehta worked in a private lab. She was 27, curious, and had a strange talent. She could find hidden codes in messy data like magic. One night, she received an anonymous email. No name, no message. Just a large file titled, "For Arya, urgent." She opened it. It looked like a signal. Broken. Corrupted. Static. But then she saw it. The same repeating pattern every 42 seconds. Something mathematical. It took her 3 days to decode it. Inside the file were not just warnings, but coordinates. Long numbers, pointing to a location in the South Pacific Ocean. And also ... a countdown. 92 days became 89. What was this counting down to? Arya was not a scientist, but she knew one thing. This was not normal. Strange celestial events. In the next few weeks, astronomers across the world began reporting odd behavior in the stars. One star in the Orion belt blinked out. Came back. The moon's orbit shifted by 0.003 degrees. Mars's magnetic field fluctuated, briefly, then stabilized. Social media went wild with theories, aliens, government experiments. Or maybe the sun was dying, but the media said, "Don't worry. Space is full of surprises." The secret underground. Group. Arya couldn't let go of the file. She posted a simple message on a private, dark web forum. Anyone else received the 42-second signal? She didn't expect a reply, but she got 1, then 2, then 12. She was invited into a hidden online group, Signal Watchers, a network of scientists, hackers, and ex-military operatives who had all seen parts of the same signal. Together, they found something disturbing. Inside the signal was a deeper layer, a hidden key. It unlocked a map of Earth. But not today's Earth. The map showed strange locations glowing, as if something was buried there. One of the markers matched the South Pacific coordinates Arya had found. The countdown now read 71 days. Strange. Dreams. BGIing people in the Signal Watcher group began having similar dreams. A sky full of black lightning, a massive creature with eyes like galaxies. Voices whispering, "We warned you, too late, Even Arya dreamed of standing on a broken earth. Fire in the sky, oceans gone. It was just a dream. Right? But the group realized one thing. Only people who had seen the full signal were having these dreams. What was it doing to their minds? Arya's HFY decided to go to the South Pacific site herself. She booked a one-way flight to New Zealand, then joined a cargo ship heading toward the coordinates, a remote part of the ocean with no islands. She lied. Said she was a marine biologist. On day 68, in the middle of the night, the ship's radar showed something strange. An object, metallic, massive under the water, not moving, not man-made. The ocean above it was calm, but Arya could feel a hum through her skin. She lowered a waterproof drone. The camera went down, and there it was, a giant black structure, shaped like a circle, covered in markings that shimmered like stars. The countdown stopped at 67 days, 4 hours, 21 minutes, then reset, final WRNING. That night, Arya received a final signal through her satellite phone. But this time, it was not from deep space. It was from the structure below. A deep voice, impossible to place, whispered, "It sees you now. The sky is no longer safe. Remember what you are. We are coming to help, but you must choose, fight, or be consumed." The message ended with a new timer, 66 days remaining, closing HOK back at the IDLS station. Now abandoned, the screen suddenly flickered back on. No power, no human inside. On the main monitor, 3 red words appeared. "We are here." Then a shadow passed over the moon, cut to black. The world didn't know. Not yet. Only a few people had seen the signal, scientists, analysts, and secret groups like the Signal Watchers. But now, the countdown was active. And whatever it was counting toward, it was getting closer. Arya Mehta stood on the deck of the ship, staring at the dark ocean. Beneath her feet, something massive rested at the bottom. It hummed quietly, vibrating through the water. The message from the underwater structure still echoed in her mind. "It sees you now. The sky is no longer safe. Remember what you are. We are coming to help, but you must choose. Fight or be consumed." Arya didn't sleep that night. She couldn't. Global unrest over the next week. Strange things happened across Earth. Satellites stopped working for 4 seconds. All at once. GPS systems showed wrong coordinates, as if the planet had shifted. Birds flew in circles. Whales beached themselves in record numbers. And then, one night, at exactly 3 o'clock GMT, something appeared in Earth's orbit. It wasn't a meteor. It wasn't a ship like humans had ever seen. It looked like a long silver needle, turning slowly in the darkness above the clouds. No heat, no sound. But it was watching. First CONTIC, Java. Object didn't respond to radio signals. It didn't attack. It just hovered. People across the world saw it in the sky, like a second star, blinking gently. Then, on day 60 of the countdown, the object moved. It entered Earth's atmosphere silently, without fire, without sound. Cameras on every continent pointed upward. It landed in Mongolia, in the middle of a desert. The world held its breath. The ELYRENS from the object, a ramp opened. Light spilled out, cool, white, silent. And then, they stepped forward, tall beings, thin, graceful, skin like pearl. Eyes with no pupils, only glowing light. They wore no armor, no weapons. The world would later know them as the Illyrians. They raised both hands in peace. The first words were not spoken. They were felt directly in the minds of those nearby. We do not come to rule. We do not come to take. We come to warn. Humanity respo to what world governments panicked. Armies moved into position. Drones circled the landing zone. But the Illyrians stayed calm. They allowed no violence. Any weapon that came close simply stopped working, melted like ice. In the sun, a UN team was sent in. Scientists, linguists, generals among them, Dr. Samira Khan from the IDLS station. She looked at the Illyrians and felt something. Strange recognition, as if she had met them before. The Illyrian spoke to her first. You heard the signal. You carry the memory. She didn't understand, not yet, the WRNINE in a secure meeting room inside a UN facility. The Illyrians explained their purpose. A darkness moves between galaxies. It feeds on light, on time, on memory. We call them the Devourers. They are coming for you. Your kind was hidden once, but now you are seen again. A general asked, why Earth? The Illyrians were silent, then said, because you are. Not what you think. Arya's AWAKNING. Meanwhile, Arya returned from the ocean. She brought back copies of the signal, images of the underwater structure, and recordings of the countdown. She tried to contact government agencies, but no one replied. She turned to the signal watchers. Together, they studied the files again. Inside the signal, a new layer. It wasn't a message. It was DNA data, sequences, patterns, a map of human genetics. One of the scientists whispered, this isn't a warning just to us. This is about us. And then, the discovery. The data inside the signal matched a lost part of human DNA. Code scientists used to call junk DNA, but it wasn't junk. It was locked potential. Fear and deasters of the Illyrians spread fast. Some people welcomed them as saviors. Others called them liars. Religious leaders warned the end times had come. Conspiracy theorists claimed it was a government trick. Across the world, small riots began. Stores were looted. People fled cities. In secret military bases, world leaders debated. Should we trust them? Should we prepare for war? Are they even telling the truth? Some wanted to attack the Illyrians before it was too late, but the countdown continued. 58 days. Truth Arrivi Alidi in Geneva. Dr. Samira sat with an Illyrian elder named Kalen. He showed her visions, not with words, but with light. She saw a burning galaxy, a planet crumbling into dust, creatures made of shadow, the Devourers, swallowing entire civilizations. And then Earth, but Earth was different. Humans stood and fought, long ago. Not with rockets, not with machines, but with something older, something powerful, something inside them. Your people once burned like stars, Kalen said, but you chose to forget. You locked yourselves, hid your fire, to survive. But the enemy remembers you. And now it comes again. Samira trembled. Why now? Kalen looked at the sky. Because you are waking up. Suspicion BYLDS. Not all Illyrians were allowed to speak freely. Some were kept in custody. In one base, an Illyrian named Soren warned a human commander, do not awaken the old blood too fast. You may not like what you find. But it was too late. Around the world, humans who had touched the signal began to change. A child in Kenya lit a fire without touching wood. A teenager in Russia ran 70 kilometers without stopping. A woman in Brazil began to dream of machines and then built one that solved impossible math. Something was returning. Arya's CHOIC back in her lab. Arya stood in front of a mirror. Her eyes looked normal, but sometimes, in the corner of her vision, she saw symbols. Glowing, floating. The signal wasn't just data. It had done something to her. She felt different, faster, brighter. And then came the second dream. She stood on a battlefield under stars. The sky was cracked. Her hands were fire. Around her hundreds stood, not soldiers, not aliens, but humans glowing like suns. And behind them came the shadow. She woke up with one thought. They're not coming to invade us. They're coming to stop what we might become. A global CHOIC. The Illyrians gave Earth a choice: join them, prepare for defense, unlock what was hidden, or do nothing, and be erased like the others. Some countries agreed. Others didn't. In the United States, a powerful general named Victor Hales led a secret group that believed the Illyrians were lying. "We don't need alien help," he said. "We have nukes. We have armies. We'll fight alone." But when he tried to launch a test missile, it vanished mid-air. The Illyrians hadn't attacked. Something else had caught it. Closing HOOK Day 55. The stars began to flicker again. Astronomers reported something massive blocking signals from the Crux constellation. A wave of energy passed through Jupiter, harmless but powerful. The Illyrians looked to the sky. Kaelin whispered, "They are close, we must begin." Arya stared at the countdown on her screen. 54 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes. She felt it in her bones now, a pull, like a song from deep inside her. Humanity had been warned. Now they had to decide. Would they awaken, or would they fall? The countdown continued. 54 days left. Most people on Earth still lived their normal lives, going to work, watching the skies, whispering about the visitors. But deep underground, in hidden labs and old ruins, a greater truth was beginning to rise. Not everyone was afraid of the Illyrians. Some were afraid of what humans were about to become, a memory that wasn't Arya sat alone in her small New Zealand apartment. She hadn't slept much since returning from the South Pacific. The dreams were stronger now. She would see fire, war, a red sky full of stars, buildings floating in space, and always the whisper, "You were more than this." Every dream felt real, like a memory. She started drawing what she saw: symbols, machines, faces. One face kept appearing, hers, but not exactly. The same eyes, same skin, but wearing armor made of light, standing on a battlefield above Earth. Was she remembering a past life? The lost files in Geneva. Dr. Samira Khan continued working with the Illyrians. She studied the DNA maps hidden inside the original signal. It was more than code, it was a lock. When she compared it with ancient human remains, Egyptian mummies, Siberian ice corpses, even prehistoric cave DNA, the same pattern appeared. The same buried sequence. Untouched for 100,000 years. Hidden. Suppressed. "Your species was not born here," Kaelin told her. "You were brought here, after the fire." "What fire?" Samira asked. "The one you lit yourselves." The story of the first FLA Illyrians finally told the full story. Long ago, long before Earth had cities, languages, or history, humans had already built great civilizations in the stars. They were explorers, scientists, warriors of light. They had technology not made of metal, but of thought and energy. They built cities inside stars. They walked between galaxies like stepping stones. But something happened. A choice. A war. A part of humanity wanted more. They opened something forbidden. A door into the dark. And something came through. The devourers. Beings. Without form, only hunger. They did not kill. They unmade. Worlds fell. Stars turned to ash. Galaxies went silent. And then, the final humans, the last survivors, made a decision. They would erase their power, hide, become simple, sleep inside a planet far from the war. They chose Earth, and they buried their past. Inside their DNA, not everyone forgot, but not all humans accepted this plan. Some kept the old knowledge. They went into hiding, deep underground, under oceans, into mountains. These people became the guardians of fire, a secret line. passing memories through blood. And now, with the countdown ticking, those ancient families were waking up too. Of them found Arya. The Georgian he came at night. An old man, pale skin, gray beard, eyes glowing faintly. He waited outside Arya's building, silent as stone. "You are not dreaming," he said when she approached. "You are remembering." His name was Moran. He said he had waited generations for her to awaken. He handed her a small black cube. "Smooth, cold, humming. Touch it," he said. She did, and the world disappeared. Vision of the fiery in a second. She stood inside a burning sky. She wasn't Arya anymore, not fully. She was someone older. Someone who had once stood at the edge of a dying star. She saw herself leading armies of light, her voice shaking the heavens. She watched her friends fall to the shadows. She saw her home, a world shaped like a crystal, break into 1,000 pieces. And then she saw Earth. New, blue, safe. She felt herself forget, piece by piece, and she cried. Then she was back. In her room. Miran was gone. Only the cube remained, now warm in her hand. Power returns around the world. Strange things started happening. A girl in Ethiopia walked through fire unharmed. A blind boy in Tokyo began describing distant stars. A man in Argentina stopped a bullet mid-air without touching it. The news called it miracles. Governments called it dangerous. The Illyrians called it the return. The hidden fire inside humanity was reawakening. But not all could handle it. Some went mad. Some became violent. Some were not ready, because not all power is light. Some was shadow. The rising Darakaans AC, Russia. General Victor Hales, the one who had refused the Illyrian warning, discovered a hidden signal buried deep under Siberia. It wasn't from the Illyria NS. It was older. He followed it. At the bottom of a frozen crater, he found black stones, shaped like thrones, humming with energy. Around them, bones, human, burned. At the stones whispered. They offered him strength. A way to fight back. A way to stop the Illyrians and any who followed them. And he accepted. That was the start of the second fire. Divided. Now the world stood at a crossroads. Some followed the Illyrians. Some followed the signal inside themselves. And some, like Hales, followed something else. The DEVOURER. The countdown showed 47 days left. Arya, Samira, and others began gathering the awakened, people who had heard the signal, dreamed the dreams, felt the fire. They created the Lucent Circle, a secret alliance, preparing not just for war, but for a decision to rise again or fall forever. Another Then, one night, a new object entered the solar system. It didn't blink. It didn't shine. It absorbed light. Astronomers screamed. The Illyrians panicked. Ian turned pale. It is here. The first of the devourers. It has tasted your signal, and now it comes for the source. Samira asked, "What do we do?" Kalen replied, "You must remember the final part. You must find the Vault of Fire before they do." The Voltaria, with Miran's cube, began to search. The cube responded to her thoughts, showing her visions, desert pyramids, icy caves, ancient symbols carved into mountains. Then, finally, coordinates, a place in Antarctica. Deep under the ice. The Vault of Fire, hidden since the first fall. And now, the Devourers wanted it back. The race begins with only 45 days left. The Lucent Circle gathered a team. Arya, Samira, Jay Patel, and 3 Illyrians. They boarded a black stealth ship and flew toward Antarctica. But they weren't alone. General Hales and his new army of shadowed men had already begun digging from the other side. What was inside the vault? A weapon? A memory? Or the key to humanity's final stand? Closing HOOK as the black sun moved closer from the edge of the solar system, as dreams turned into memories, As fire awakened in blood, Earth prepared for a war it had already lost. Once, Arya stood at the edge of a frozen cliff and whispered, "This time, we don't run." Day 4-5. The sun hung low over Antarctica, bleeding orange across endless white. A black ship sliced through the icy winds, silent and fast. Inside it, 6 people sat in silence, all watching the same screen, coordinates locked. Vault depth, 7.3 km. Status, unknown. This was the point of no return. The TAM Arya Meta sat in the center, cube in hand. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Beside her was Dr. Samira Khan, still trying to decode the DNA maps from the signal. She had begun to change too, her mind sharper, her dreams longer. Next to her, Jay Patel, a former satellite technician, turned rogue truth hunter. He carried the only working device that could map underground energy signatures, and with them, 3 Illyrians: Kalen, the elder with calm eyes and a heavy past; Rin, a quiet warrior who never spoke but always watched; and Leary, young and curious, drawn to human emotion. They were all here for one reason: to find what humanity had hidden from itself. The DC-10 landed at the edge of a massive glacier, untouched for 50,000 years. Jay found the entry point, a circle of ice that shimmered unnaturally. Arya placed the cube into a small crack. The ice melted instantly. A deep, glowing tunnel appeared, spiraling downward. "This wasn't made by machines," Samira whispered. "It was made by memory." They began the descent. Down, deeper. Each step took them further from the surface and closer to something ancient, strange. Essagians. The walls began to change. First ice. Then metal. Then ... something else. Symbols appeared, floating in the air, glowing. When Arya passed them, she could read them, though she didn't know how. "The vault remembers you," Kalen said. "It knows your blood." At 5 kilometers deep, gravity shifted. The air grew warm. Time itself seemed to slow. Jay's instruments began glitching. Samira felt her heart beating faster. And then they saw it. A massive door to 40 meters tall, shaped like a star, half embedded in the rock. The door opens. Arya stepped forward. The symbols on the door lit up. The cube in her hand floated. Her eyes turned gold. And the door opened. With no sound, no wind, just light, golden, soft, endless. They stepped through. Inside was a world. Inside the VL to the vault wasn't a room. It was a city, floating inside a hollowed mountain. Buildings made of glass and fire, rivers of light, statues of humans wearing armor that pulsed with energy. It was not human history. It was human memory. The Illyrians bowed as they entered. "This was the last city," Kalen said. "The place where your kind made the choice to forget." Arya walked ahead, drawn by something deeper, something calling her. The fire Siori. In the center of the vault stood a spire, reaching from floor to ceiling, made of crystal. Inside it, a flickering fire. Not normal fire. It moved like thought, like music, like something alive. Kalen called it the anima flame, the core of all awakened human power. "This is what the Devourers feared, not your machines, not your weapons. This." Samira studied it. The flame matched the pattern inside the signal. The DNA code. The dreams. This was the source. The fire humanity once carried and locked away. Now it waited to be claimed. A warning from the pasta console near the flame lit up. A voice echoed. Not Eli Rian. Alien, human. If you are hearing this, it means the Devourers are near. We were not strong enough. We chose sleep, but now you must choose something harder: to awaken and become what we were, or to remain ... and vanish. Then a name appeared on the screen. Arya Meta. Access confirmed. Arya stepped back in shock. "That's me." "No," Kalen said softly. "That's who you were." Hales arrived as above ground, and Arctica shook. A second team arrived, armored, dangerous. General Victor Hales led them. He had followed the energy trail. He had seen the future, and chosen a darker path. Beside him stood a woman with eyes of black flame. Not human anymore. Touched by the Devourers, they broke into the vault's surface. Using corrupted tech machines powered by shadow, they were coming. The CHOIC area stood before the anima flame. Her hand hovered over it. Touching it would unlock her fully. Not just memories. Power. But once touched, there would be no going back. Samira stepped beside her. If you don single quotes T. He will. Jay read a message from his device. Incoming presence, 37. Energy signature, inverted. Not human. Looked at her. You were the last light before the fall. Will you be the first to rise? Arya closed her eyes and touched the flame. A WAK9G light exploded, not outward, inward. Remembered everything. Every past life, every war, every choice. She wasn't just Arya. She was Arya Salis, last of the Starburn, guardian of the vault, and flame bearer of humanity. Her skin glowed. Her eyes turned to light. Her voice changed. She spoke a single word, and every system in the vault came alive. Illuminate. The battle begins. Hales broke into the vault, but it wasn't a quiet entry. It was a war cry. His soldiers, now part shadow, charged forward. Bullets melted midair. The woman beside him screamed, and walls cracked. Kalen raised his hand. Shields formed from light. Rin and Leary fought like lightning, not with weapons, but with motion. Samira grabbed Jay, guiding him to the flame core to activate the vault's defense. And Arya, now Arya, stepped forward. She didn't run. She glowed. She raised her hand and fire poured from her fingers. Burning not the body, but the shadow inside. Lawson Tiaru, the battle raged. Jay was hit, but alive. Kalen took a wound shielding Samira. Rin fell, defending a doorway. But finally, Arya stood face to face with Hales. His body was twisted. Now, half human, half something else. You don't understand, he growled. They showed me the truth. We're not supposed to exist. We're just fuel. Arya shook her head. Then burn for the wrong side. With a final word, she released the full fire of the vault. A wave of gold light swept the chamber. Every shadow screamed, and was gone, closing HOOK silence. The vault stood whole again. The flame burned calmly. Kalen, wounded but alive, looked at Arya. You've awakened. But this is only the beginning. Above, the black object in space shifted again. Earth's moon dimmed, just for a moment, and from the stars, a new signal began. Not from the Illyria NS. Not from Earth. But from the Devourers themselves. A voice, like metal and smoke. We see you. Now, fire or not, you are still ours. Arya looked up. And smiled. Then come and try. Day 41. The stars looked different now. Satellites stopped working. Dreams grew louder. And all across the Earth, people began to hear a voice. Not from Earth, not from Illyrians. From something deeper. Something ancient. The war had already started. But it was not the war people expected. The first SDRIKE had began in orbit. 3 Illyrian ships were silently circling Earth, watching, guarding. Then at 3:14 MGMT, they vanished. No explosion. No signal. Just gone. Moments later, a dark shape appeared near the moon. It wasn't a ship. It was more like a scar in space. It pulsed once, and every human on Earth had the same vision. A burning tree. A black sun. A voice that said, the fire will return to ash. When they woke, some were crying, some were screaming, and some were no longer themselves. The Earth's nations were breaking apart. The Global Science Council, once peaceful, now called the Vault's powers a threat. The Lucent Circle, led by Arya and Samira, said it was humanity's last chance. And in the shadows, General Hales, though defeated, was not gone. His body may have fallen, but his mind had already crossed over. His followers called themselves the Ashburn. They carried weapons made of sound energy and corrupted thought, and their goal was simple: silence the fire. Spread the dark, new AWAKNINGs, while the war of words and minds grew. More people awakened. Not all became warriors, some became healers, able to pull pain out of bodies. Some became builders, shaping metal with thoughts. Some became seers, able to glimpse possible futures in their dreams. Arya visited one such seer, a young boy in Brazil named Matteo. He touched her hand and gasped, "You will have to choose between the flame and the people." She didn't understand, but the fear in his eyes was real. The signal fides are in a hidden lab in Iceland. Jay and Samira worked on something new. Jay had built a signal mirror, a machine that could reflect parts of the Devourer signal, scramble it, maybe even fight back with it. But it needed a human brain to interface, not just any brain, but someone partially awakened. Jay volunteered. "If this works, we can stop their whispers. And if it fails?" Samira asked. Jay smiled. "Then I hear things forever. Not so different from now." He connected. The screen flashed. His eyes rolled back. Then he began to speak. Not as Jay, but as them. "We see the fire. We shaped it first. You only borrowed the light." Samira cut the power. Jay gasped, alive, but shaken. "We have to go faster," he said. "They're coming, and they're angry." A surprising VI are the vaults new. Shield kept most out, but one person walked through, untouched. A human, or so they thought. Her name was Lena. She wore white, eyes silver, voice soft. She said she was from the moon, not the satellite humans see, but what lies beneath it. She was a preserver, part of a silent group that had watched Earth since the first fire. "You must understand something," she told Arya. "The fire was never meant to be used again. But the Devourers, yes," she nodded, "and they are coming because of it. Because you lit the signal again. You didn't just call your past. You called theirs." Samira asked, "Then what do we do?" Lena paused. "Win the signal war before it becomes a real one." The signal ATT on day 39. The world went silent. No internet, no radio, no satellites, just one sound, a low, constant hum. Heard everywhere. Felt in the bones. Some called it music. Others, a scream. Then people began to fall, hundreds, then thousands. Their minds collapsed, not dead, but overwritten. Taken. The Ashburn moved through cities like ghosts, using the sound to turn more minds. It wasn't war through bombs. It was war through signals, and Earth was losing the fight. GKJ's device finally worked. He used the signal mirror to block the hum in a small region near Iceland. When it worked, the Ashburn couldn't enter. The signal reversed, and it hurt them. "Sound is language," he said. "And now we speak back." Samira realized something else. The human brain can learn this, not just block it, shape it. They began teaching awakened humans to use the signal as a shield, a song, a weapon. The fire inside was becoming language. And Earth was starting to speak it again. A new ENEMY, but the Devourers weren't finished. They sent something new. Not a ship, not a shadow, but a mirror. Beast. It looked like a human. It spoke like one. It even thought like one. But it WSN single quotes T. Appeared in Cairo. Walked into a UN meeting and said, "We are peace. You are flame. And flame burns all. Choose silence or ash." Then it exploded. 10 miles of city were gone in lightless fire. It left behind a single symbol burned into stone, a spiral inside a hand. The mark of unmaking. Arya's CHOIs inside the vault. Arya had grown stronger. She could now move objects. With thought. Speak without sound. See across the planet. But it was changing her. 2. She barely slept. Barely remembered who she once was. Samira noticed. You're becoming the flame. But are you still human? Arya didn't answer. She went alone to the flame core, and there she saw a vision. Not from the past, from the future. The future Sion in the vision. Earth was glowing. Skies full of burning ships. Cities made of crystal. People flying, but no laughter. No children. No birds. Just silence. It was not a future of victory. It was a future of power without soul. And at the center stood Arya, not human anymore. Not even alive, just fire. She fell to her knees. This isn't what I want, the fire whispered. Then choose differently. The counter-signal. Sama and Jay had finished the project. The counter-signal beacon, a massive tower made of sound plates and energy glass. Placed at the edge of Earth's Emagen, ETOSPHERE. It could blast a signal strong enough to wipe out the Devourer across half the planet. Maybe more, but using it came at a cost. It could also burn out any partially awakened minds nearby, including their own. Jay smiled. I didn't plan to live forever anyway. The final moment as the Ashburn attacked the vault, a mirror. Beasts came in threes. The hum returned. Arya stood on the vault's edge. Her flame burned gold. Her voice echoed through. Minds, we were born of stars. We forgot, but now we remember, and we choose. Fire with purpose. She lifted the cube. Samira activated the beacon. Jay screamed into the signal, and the earth pulsed. A wave of sound, fire, and memory swept the globe, closing HOOK, Ashburn. Shattered. The signal broke. The hum went silent. And for a brief moment, there was peace. But in space, far beyond, the dark scar twisted again, and the real voice finally spoke. Now we see. Now we come. Arya looked up at the sky, and whispered, let them come. Day 3-8. Earth was quiet. Too quiet. After the counter-signal beacon had erased the Devourer, and silenced the Ashburn. Humanity rejoiced, but the war was far from over, because silence had its own voice, and shadows had begun to speak, the mind. WAR in cities around the world, computers and satellites returned. But something changed. A whisper, barely audible. Its spoken thoughts. Help me. I'm trapped. Let me out. Those voices were once human. They belonged to people taken by the mirror beasts, turned into living vessels for Devourer echoes. They were now calling for rescue. Arya's Vicio and Arya stood atop the vault's central spire. Looking at Earth below. Her mind was linked to the flame core, and the beacon was still pulsing. She felt thousands of voices inside her, some human, some alien, some in between. She saw flashes, a man sobbing inside himself, a child, eyes gone dark, a mother reaching into empty space, searching for her child, all trapped. Her heart ached. The missing MEMB are in the vault. Jay hadn't returned from the beacons. Activation. When the signal wave had crashed through, he vanished. Some believed he died. Some believed he merged. Arya felt him inside her mind, calling softly, R-I-Y-A. She closed her eyes. Jay? No answer, just darkness. Samira's task. Samira rushed to Jay's chamber. All equipment was gone. Only his console remained, blinking with encrypted code. She realized. Jay had built one last program, a resonance map, tracking all networks where Devourer echoes might be. It was still running, and one location was highlighted. Beijing. Inside a children's hospital. She felt dread. Into the shadow CITY area. Samira and two Illyrians, Rin and Leary, made the trip. Beijing was calm on the surface, but underground, the hospital was a ghost hive. Empty corridors, flickering lights, a single child lying in a bed, breathing but eyes dark. When Arya touched her hand, the vision came, the child's thoughts. They are inside me. They will speak soon, they will spread. Then the child gasped and went still. Shadows spilled from her mouth. Whispering, the HFY closed her eyes and summoned the vault's light. It glowed softly, then expanded, pushing shadows back. Child stirred. She opened her eyes clear, human. Samira breathed. They can be rescued. But the voice returned, not all. And Ren shivered, the shadow speaker in the darkest wing. They found Dr. Wei, a psychiatrist who had tried to treat the children. Now he stood in the center of a broken room, eyes closed, chanting. Shadows coiled around him like living smoke. Arya stepped forward. Dr. Wei, you don't have to do this. He smiled slowly. They speak to me. They tell me your light is temporary. The darkness is more honest. He raised his hand. Shadows smashed into the walls. Arya raised her hand. A golden sphere formed. Light is memory. They clashed. The battle WITI and the Illyrians rushed to sever Dr. Wei's connection. Samira shut off his implant. Rin and Leary moved in, physically restraining him. But as they subdued him, the walls cracked, because the darkness used him as a key. It opened a portal. A thin crack of black. A traitor Desire lunged toward the portal. She reached out. But Samira grabbed her shoulder. It's a trap. A voice came from inside Arya's mind. Arya, help us. Arya hesitated. And in that moment, Leary collapsed. Her eyes turned pitch black. The darkness had found her too. The Tyrell Arya fell to her knees. Kalen and Samira rushed to help Leary. But Arya remained frozen. In her mind, Jay appeared. She has to open. Arya shook her head. We need balance, not absolution. Shut us out, or open for them. Arya screamed. Samira and Kalen held her, and the portal flickered. The Isakaran grabbed Arya. We leave now. They dragged her back, pulling Leary, Dr. Wei, and the rescued child. Behind them, the portal slammed shut. Silence. Arya looked back. Some voices. We can't bring back. 8 after Radican the vault, Arya sat at the flame core alone. Kalen approached. You saved them. Arya looked up, tears in her eyes. Some saved, others. They remain. Kalen nodded. This is the war within. The Devourers don't just take your body, they take your hope. Arya closed her eyes. Then we fight inside too. Plans and PROMISS in the following days. Arya's speech stressed inner rescue. Healing minds, as well as bodies. Samira began designing psychic shields and light therapy clinics. Leary lay dormant, watched over, a symbol of what might happen. Rin sharpened defenses around the vault, and Arya. She felt Jay's presence. Arya, light, she whispered back. I'll find you. The eternal COUNTDOW5. The signal war had torn Earth apart, but a new line appeared on Araya's map. The threshold crosses. Tomorrow night, Kalen warned. The barrier between minds will break. The Devourers will try to speak through us. Arya stood. Then we must be ready, with fire and with mercy. Closing HOOK as night fell. Earth's moon shimmered gold. Arya touched the flame core, eyes glowing. Let them speak, we will answer. And the vault's light pulsed in reply. Day 3-4. The vault had never been quieter, but Arya's mind had never been louder. Jay's voice was still inside her. Not speaking, just echoing. And then for the first time, she saw his memory, not as a flashback, but as if she were inside his head. Jay's world, the world Jay now lived in, was made of thoughts, floating symbols, memory fragments, conversations long past, and at the center, a glowing thread. It led Arya through broken echoes, a lab exploding, Samira laughing, Arya holding his hand. The signal crashing into his mind, and finally, silence. She followed the thread, until it stopped. Before her stood Jay, but he wasn't whole. He was flickering, half human, half code. You shouldn't be here, he said. The WRNNGG looked scared. If you're seeing me, it means the vault's light is weakening. Arya didn't understand. Jay placed his hand on her temple. You're carrying too much of the fire. You're burning yourself from the inside. Arya whispered. Then help me stop it. Jay shook his head. You can't stop it, you have to split it. The DCISIO and back in the physical world. Arya woke gasping. Samira was beside her. What did you see? Jay, he's alive, but trapped. Samira stepped back. Are you sure it's him? Or just a devourer mimic? Arya stared into her eyes. I know Jay. Even shattered, he's real. Kalen entered the chamber. We don't have time. The final portal is forming over Antarctica. Then we go, Arya said. But not to destroy it, to enter. The Antarctic Piotr, near an old Illyrian outpost buried under miles of ice. A pulse of black light tore the sky. It wasn't like the last one. This one was stable. Solid. And it was leaking thoughts. Those who got too close began speaking in voices, not their own. Some screamed, some laughed, some cried until they collapsed. Arya, Samira, Kalen, and Rin suited up with psychic DMPNERS. Arya whispered before entering. If we don't return, Samira stopped her. We will, together. Inside the mind, REALM crossing the portal wasn't like TELEPORTING. It was like remembering something that never happened. They opened their eyes and stood in a shattered city made of memory. Skyscrapers flickered. Rain fell upward. Every face they passed was someone they once knew. Arya saw her father. Samira saw her twin brother. Rin saw a child she never told anyone about. None of them were real, but all of them could hurt you like they were. The heart of the UNATWORK. At the city's center stood the Mind Spire, a pillar made of raw devourer code. It pulsed. It thought. And around it, thousands of echoes of stolen minds floated, trapped in loops. Some cried. Some fought. Some begged to be remembered. Kalen couldn't take it. He fell to his knees, muttering his real name, one he hadn't spoken in decades. Samira whispered. This is their power, not fear, memory. Finding Jay. Arya followed her connection. Down. Into the spire. Through visions of her life she never lived. Her giving up the flame. Her watching Earth die. Her ruling the planet as a god, alone. And finally, Jay. Whole, but fading. He turned. You came anyway. I never left. The shattered MDJ pulled her close. They're coming through me. My mind, it's the bridge. Arya stepped back. Then we break the bridge. Jay shook his head. No, you make a new one. Not with flame, with forgiveness. Arya didn't understand. What does that mean? Jay whispered. You must split the fire. One half to heal, one half to protect. Two hearts, one choice. The CHOIC outside, the spire began to shake. Rin was screaming. The trapped minds were breaking loose. Samira activated a beacon, a failsafe, but it would erase everything inside the portal. Jay looked at Arya. Choose now. Arya lifted the flame inside her, a blazing orb between her hands. I choose. She split it. Half into Jay, half into herself. The flame roared. The spire cracked. Escape. Samira grabbed Rin. Kalen stumbled forward. Jay, now glowing with a blue fire, raised his hand. Go. The spire collapsed around him. He held the breach long enough for Arya and the others to escape. As she crossed the portal, she saw him smile. Back to ERT-33. The vault pulsed gently. The sky was clear. The Antarctic portal was gone, and with it, the final signal wave had vanished. Samira looked at Arya. He saved us. Arya nodded. And he showed us something else, Kalen asked. What? That the mind can survive even when the body breaks. That hope doesn't need a home. Just a voice. A new ordering the days that followed. Vault teams began building memory sanctuaries to recover the stolen echoes. Illyrians offered their technology to support Earth's healing. Samira launched the Flame Split Initiative, giving awakened humans a chance to choose paths, healers, guardians, or dreamers. And Arya became something else. Not a leader, not a god, but a listener. To every mind still calling, ending tidw wist. But in the silence, a voice returned. Not Jay, not devour, something older. You learned to split the fire, but now you must face the one who lit it first. Arya froze. She whispered, You. The voice answered, Yes, Arya. I am your beginning and your end. Closing HOO cake, to stars twisting, a shape forming, a face made of flame and shadow, the first fire bearer. Coming, to destroy Earth. But to judge it, cut to black. Day 30. Earth was healing. The portals were gone. The last of the ashburn had vanished. The vault pulsed softly in peace, but peace was not the end, because something older had awakened. The voice Arya heard inside her wasn't alien. It was ancient. It called itself the first firebearer. Signs in the SK for 3 days. Strange lights danced across the skies, not like portals, not like beacons. These lights were alive, flowing like rivers, folding like thought. Over Antarctica, a spiral formed in the clouds. Over the Sahara, sandstorms carved unknown symbols into the earth. In the oceans, waters split for moments, revealing glowing paths beneath. The Illyrians called it the return. Arya called it judgment. The Illyrian Tyrutis inside the vault. Rin revealed the ancient Illyrian myth. Long before us, there was a being, a guardian of creation's flame. It gave us light, but tested us with it. If we used it for war, it would return. Not to destroy, but to judge, to decide if we should keep the flame or lose it forever, Kalen added. We thought it was legend. But Earth's fire wasn't just technology. It was living choice. And now it wants an answer. The first AP currency it came during night. Above the vault, a shape of fire and shadow, floating in silence. 10 stories tall. No face, no limbs. Just presence. Every light in the world flickered. Every mind on Earth felt it. Some dropped to their knees in awe. Some screamed in fear. Some cried without knowing why. And in the vault, Arya collapsed. Inside the FLM she awoke, floating inside a space of nothing but gold and black. The voice came. You carry the stolen fire. I protected it, she replied. You split it. That was wise. But wisdom is not proof. Then what do you want? She asked. The voice answered. A choice, yours. Do humans deserve to keep the fire? Arya hesitated. Not all of them, but they're learning. They're fighting. They're not perfect, but they're trying. The voice was silent for a moment. Then it said, Then show me. One act, one truth. One flame that burns without destruction. Back to Eart T. When Arya woke, her body glowed dimly. The first firebearer still hovered over the vault. All vault systems shut down. No weapons worked. No technology responded. Humanity had nothing left to fight with. Only their choice. Arya's Plenaria gathered her team. It's not here to kill us. It's here to ask us something. Are we worthy? Samira whispered. Worthy of what? The fire, the signal, the vault, the mind link, all of it. Ren asked, What do we do? Arya smiled softly. We give, not fight. We prove we can light without burning. The flame over Fariaria walked to the top of the vault spire. She carried the last piece of the flame core. Everyone on Earth was watching. The vault streamed live. Billions watched. As she stood under the fire bearer. She lifted the core into the air. This is our light. We don't beg. We don't fight. We offer, freely. She let it go. The core floated. Paused. And began to burn with its own light. Pure, calm white. The first fire bearer moved for the first time. It reached with fire. And took the core. The TC suddenly. Earth turned silent. No wind. No breath. No sound. Every person on the planet saw the same vision. A city burning. A child crying. A soldier hesitating. A healer choosing peace. A flame passed hand to hand. And a voice. You are not pure. You are not wise. But you are learning. You fail in war. But rise in memory. You fear shadows. But walk into them anyway. So we ask one final time. Will you keep the fire or return it? And in the vision, they saw Arya. She looked at Earth. At her team. At the people. And she said, we keep it. And we learn to carry it together. The DCISIO and the firebearer stood still. Then it bowed. And whispered. Then remember what it cost. It rose. It split into thousands of golden lights. Each flew into the sky, across Earth, vanishing into stars. The sky cleared. The vault powered back on. The flame pulsed once more. But it was different now. Alive. Not a weapon, not a shield, but a memory. Epilogue -2 years LAT or Earth changed. Vaults were no longer bunkers, they were schools. Illyrians and humans built shared cities. Children were trained not just in science or defense, but in memory, forgiveness, and balance. Devourers were never seen again. But their damage remained, as warning, not wound. Samira led a network of global flame bearers. Kalen became Earth's first Illyrian ambassador. Jay's consciousness was finally recovered, and he lived inside the core as the first digital flame guide. And Arya? She disappeared. Some say she returned to the stars. Some say she walks Earth in silence, watching. But one thing was certain. The fire remained, and it was in human hands now. Forever. Closing line, we were warned of a threat, but they forgot. One thing, the real threat, is what happens when humanity learns to carry the fire without burning the world. End of story.